and take it.
Okay.
Anthony, how are you, man?
Wonderful.
You're writing a killer book.
Thank you.
I need to put this in front of the camera here. There you go. The only sales guide you need.
Thank you.
What do you see happening in sales?
It's interesting. The biggest challenge, I think, for sales organizations today, and now we have high profit prospecting right over your right shoulder, is they're opportunity starved. And I'll tell you my view of where this starts. It starts with the sales leader and the sales manager, and it starts with the reluctance to hold people accountable for the prospecting activity that they need to take in order to succeed. And they don't want to ask people, they don't want to badger people, they don't want to embarrass people. They don't want to have people sit on a group call and share what they did to develop or build their pipeline the week before. But here's the thing that strikes me about all this. Let's say I have a $2 million quota annually. That means I need to come up with $40,000 in new sales every month. It doesn't matter what the size of your opportunity is. On average, you need 40,000 in new opportunities, one every single week of the year. 40 times 52 is going to get you your 2 million. Let's say you have a 50% win rate. That means I need $80,000 worth of opportunities. So now let's look at a month. In a month, that means I need 320,000 plus or minus in new opportunities. And that could be, if we'll just use the average and say an average deal size is 80, that's 4 new opportunities. What I see happen is there's not enough prospecting to get you 4 new $80,000 opportunities in January. So you're behind in February. Now in February, instead of needing 4, you need 8. And so maybe you only create 1 in February. So you need 7. Going into March, you need 11. And it doesn't take too many months before you're completely discouraged that you don't have the opportunities. And the year's not recoverable. You just don't have enough opportunities. And this is why I see your book as being so valuable for people, is because if you don't get into this rhythm and you don't make prospecting a discipline and you're not doing this work all the time, it's very, very easy to fall behind, and it's impossibly difficult to catch up.
Well, that talks about that whole thing of really needing a cadence. You've got to have a cadence in terms of how you prospect. There was something interesting that you said, and we've talked about this before, you and I. It's really the sales leader, the sales manager. Is the reason they won't push on sales prospecting is because they really don't know how to prospect themselves. They are so afraid to prospect themselves. And as a result, it's the blind leading the blind. I don't know if you agree with that or disagree.
I agree. I think there are sales leaders who were hired for a different set of skills than prospecting. And I think it is a different skill set, but it's very hard if you're at least a frontline sales manager. If you can't dig in and help teach and train and coach and develop people to do this work, because you can't lead it and you can't do it, it's a very, very difficult road to hoe, number one. And number two, it's hard for your people to follow you if they can't come to you and believe that you can do it, and that if you can do it, you can teach them to do it. So that's a bigger challenge. We're getting right into the heavy stuff here, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're talking about me.
Well, it is about them, because this whole thing, I mean, that era of where the phone just rings is gone. And yet I still find so many organizations that are living in the past in terms of if they just do good marketing, just do good advertising, or in today's world, just do good social media, that somehow the phone will ring. Hey, we all want inbound. But well, let me tell you something. If you're not outbound focused, you're just not going to be eating enough. You're just not going to have enough opportunities. Yeah. Like you said at the beginning, you get further and further behind. And then just total discouragement. And I think without a doubt, that's why we have such an incredible turnover in sales. And I think it's also why one of the reasons people say, how come, this is especially from small business owners. They say, how come I got to pay salespeople so much money?
Yeah.
And I go, wow, you are totally missing it. You should be thanking yourself that you have to pay them a lot of money, because you know what? They're going to allow you and everyone else in the company to eat much better when you get that right salesperson.
The cheapest sales force you hire is the most expensive sales force you'll ever have. I mean, that's the way it works. It's inversely proportional. The more you invest in a really good sales force that's led by a really good sales manager, the easier things become for you. But when people, and especially small business, there's a reason they're small businesses, right?
Yeah, because they're small thinking.
Yeah,
That's right.
you're going to stay small. I mean, that's a way to stay small. You have to think bigger than that. You have to think bigger first. But if you think that the sales force is expensive, try not having one, because the real expense is missing the opportunities and losing the time. And when sales organizations get that, then they start to understand the one thing that I have is that's working against me all the time is my time. So I need to field the very best team I can, because once I lose this 6 months, I can't get the 6 months back. Whatever revenue wasn't generated, I lost.
There's something interesting there, because sales and risk really go hand in hand. The most successful people in sales are the ones who are willing to take the most risk. And I think that's one of the things that small businesses really have a hard time with, because they try to minimize risk. They try to minimize risk. They try to minimize risk. And as a result, they'll never push the envelope in terms of what they can do with regards to sales. And I especially think that's true with regards to prospecting. No, I can't call them again. I called them last month and I don't want to be seen as bugging them. Well, excuse me, do you not believe that what you're selling can help somebody? If you don't believe in what you're selling can help somebody, then excuse me, you're in the wrong business to begin with. But if you do believe that what you can do, what you can provide is going to help somebody, why would you not want to call them again and again and again and again?
And that's two things. One, it's confidence. And when you have a strong belief in yourself and in your company and your product and your service and your solution, you've got the confidence to pick up the phone because you know you're really helping people. And then the second thing is it's this avoidance of conflict. If I call Mark again, Mark might be mad. All right, well, good. Maybe Mark's mad today. And maybe he has low blood sugar. Maybe he doesn't feel well today. Maybe he's got a lot of stress going on in his life for some other reason. Who knows why he's mad? I mean, it has nothing to do with you. A lot of people just walk around having made a decision that they're just going to be mad. They're just going to be short-tempered today. Okay. You're going to run into some of those. That has nothing to do with you. I had this interesting conversation yesterday about rejection. Nobody's rejecting you, not personally. They don't even know you to reject you personally. If they knew you and they said, listen, Mark Hunter, I would like to do business with anybody but you because I really don't like you. Okay, now you've been rejected. But that's not what happens to us. Most of the time they're busy. They don't hear value in the message that you're giving. They can't discern whether or not you're really worth their time. So they say no to everybody. It has nothing to do. It's so not personal. But you do have to have the courage of your convictions to say, I believe and I'm confident. And you also have to be willing to have some of that conflict. When somebody hangs up the phone, you call back.
Yeah, you do. Hey, you have got this, and I'm covering up the screen because I want to. I want to talk about your book for a second.
Dueling books.
Dueling books here. Yeah. But I mean, because really, you think about it, the only sales guide you'll ever need. That's a pretty bold statement.
Yes.
So as a salesperson, how do you back that up? Because, we talk about bringing value.
Yeah. Well,
maybe I should just say it's high profit prospecting.
You know what? It is the only sales guide you'll ever need except for high profit prospecting. I mean, that really is the other book that you need. I didn't get to.
I'm feeling the love.
I didn't choose the name. I was involved in the discussion around the name, but the book was originally called 17 Elements. And that was the first disagreement I had with the publisher. They said right out of the gate, we hate that name. And they said the name should tell the buyer exactly what they're getting for buying that book. And I said, well, that's not true for the Challenger sale. And that doesn't tell you anything. Nobody knows what that means.
Whoa, you're throwing somebody under the bus here, folks.
Well, you don't know what the Challenger sale is until you get the book. I mean, you didn't know that in 2009 when the book came out, or 2010. But it sold 300,000 copies. It's the best-selling book in sales in decades, but the title doesn't say anything. And they said, fair enough, but we still don't like your title. And basically what they thought was the only sales guide you'll ever need. It covers so much ground. It starts with mindset, so it's attributes like discipline and resourcefulness and competitiveness. And it goes through all the fundamental skills, prospecting, storytelling, closing, business acumen, that it covers so much ground. They called it the only sales guide you'll ever need because it is so complete by itself. And everybody that's read it so far has said the same thing. There just isn't any book like this book.
I'll tell you why it is the only sales guide, because I'm quoted in the book.
You are.
Therefore it is the only, but it's okay. You're also quoted in this book here. Hey, let's wrap this up so we don't get caught just having an AM radio talk show. What's one key piece? I mean, here we are, we're into September. What's one key piece? If you're behind in your number, what would you suggest to do to make your number between now and the end of December?
I think that you said it at the beginning, to get a disciplined cadence around how you prospect. And then, I've told people this before. Let's say to create the opportunities I need to talk to 1,000 people. Compress that time. Compress the time. So I see people think, I know I need to reach out. Nobody knows me. I got to create all these opportunities. You can make 1,000 calls in 10 years, or you can make 1,000 calls in 10 weeks. And how fast you get results is going to be determined by how much work you do. So 20 calls a day, dials. You're not going to connect with 20 people with 20 dials, no matter how good you are. But 20 dials a day, every single day, week after week, starts to compound. And if you can understand the compounding of the effort by making a call and following up with an email, you're going to get known, and you're going to get known faster. And one thing we don't know is who's dissatisfied enough to have a conversation. There's no list you can buy that says, here are the people who are unhappy, who exactly meet your value prop, or your company would have bought that for you a long time ago. But get that cadence, get that rhythm, and just make it a very, very specific daily discipline that you keep.
You know what? And when you do that, when you create that daily discipline, it's amazing how after a while it just becomes what you do, you do.
Yeah.
I tend to run, I don't run 7 days a week, but I run 3 to 4 days a week. And you know what? Even though it's only 3 or 4 days a week, I could not think of not running 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Because it's just part of my cadence. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, the book, the only sales guide you'll ever need. I always have to hold that up. And of course, the other book, you got to buy them both.
Actually, if you go to Amazon and you click on the link for my book or your book, it's one of the better together offers right now where you can buy both books together.
Because we are brothers of a separate mother.
True that.
There you go. Hey, great selling. We'll catch up with you later.
That's one video.